Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we are going over all of the new VR game releases coming in October. What originally looked like an extremely dry month actually has some exciting titles on the list. So if Bone Lab isn't doing it for you, or you just want something new, it looks like there's something for everyone on today's list. I'll be ordering it chronologically, and we'll of course have links and timestamps to everything. But before we jump in, this video is sponsored by Kiwi Design, one of my favorite sites for VR accessories. They recently released some new Quest 2 headphones that promise to pack some extra bass and increase your audio experience. They currently have my favorite Quest 2 Elite strap with battery pack, and there's plenty of other accessories like enhanced controller grips, replacement facial covers, link cables, and much more. There's a link down in the description, and don't forget to use discount code Mateo311 for 5% off and to help support this channel. Okay, so first up, two games actually snuck in yesterday, and the first one is Townscraper VR. Now this is actually a port of a flat screen title that released last year, and it's not exactly a game. It's a laid-back world-building experience that has a mind of its own. You simply pick from a color palette, plop down some colored blocks, and watch the system start building a world for you. There's no goal and no real gameplay, but plenty of people love the original flat screen version, and it has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, so maybe it'll be even more magical from a VR perspective. And speaking of games that are magical from the VR perspective, we have our next title, Runner. This is a fast-paced arcadey motorcycle title set in a cyberpunk-style universe, which at first glance I thought was an on-rails shooter. Now I have spent some time in this game, so rather than giving you a little synopsis, I can tell you about my personal experience. I expected a seated arcade racing shooter like this to cause at least some motion sickness, but this felt butter smooth. The mechanics are really well done, as they have you inserting your gun into the bike or pulling them out to shoot targets in the air. You can pull out a laser sword, and there's tons of different power-ups and obstacles to avoid throughout the levels. There's a nice level of challenge, and it's dripping with its own personal style. It unfortunately suffers from a pretty short campaign though. I was definitely impressed though, it was more than I was expecting, but it actually gave me some vibes from the classic Spy Hunter arcade game, which I'm assuming most of you guys are too young for. Now we also have two musically themed game updates, and the first one is Rocktober for Unplugged. We're getting access to 4 new songs, and those who make it to the top 10 on the leaderboard playing these songs in hard mode will get to unlock some unique guitar skins. There'll also be some rewards if you place in the top 100. Now those 4 new songs include Hideaway, Against, Spark, and Say Goodbye. Now I'm not really familiar with any of them, so maybe Rocktober isn't for me. Also not for me is the new Lizzo Beat Saber sound pack, but if that's your type of music, you have 8 new Lizzo songs that you can start slicing through. Now next on our list, going chronologically, is not exactly a game, but I do want to mention Meta Connect is next Tuesday. It's very likely that the Quest Pro will instantly be available for purchase, and hopefully we get some game surprise announcements. Now I currently have zero inside knowledge, and this is entirely just a wish I have, but I would love for them to announce Asgard's Wrath 2. Yes, I know that's wishful thinking and I doubt it will happen, but I want to hear in the comments right now what you guys would love to hear announced at Meta Connect. Now next up, we actually have a third-person RPG game with first-person turn-based combat. Arcaxer is an extremely unique combination of mechanics that previously released for PCVR and has now finally made its way onto the Quest. This is a game I've always wanted to play but never got around to, because not only is it an RPG with some old school influence, it also has some truly unique mechanics and just looks pretty damn good. You'll navigate procedurally generated worlds in either a first-person or third-person view. Now the godlike third-person perspective is required sometimes to solve puzzles, but the combat takes place in first-person mode. Now while the combat is turn-based, you're not just sitting around. You'll have to physically dodge enemy attacks and perfectly time your gesture-based counters. So overall, this game is a huge combination of unique mechanics. Okay, so moving on, we have Gym Class Basketball, which allows you to jump in with up to 7 of your friends into an NBA regulation-sized gym and practice your shooting, passing, and dunking. Prior to release, this has been an App Lab hit, and it's extremely well regarded. It looks like they've been able to make any of those necessary modifications that Meta required for them to get on the official Meta store. And on top of that, the game has recently received $8 million in additional funding, so we can expect to see a lot more out of this title in the near future. While the developers haven't said specifically what their update plans are, they have made it clear that they want Gym Class to be a digital sport. So rather than just the virtual gymnasium that it is right now, we could probably expect more regulation-style features, such as a referee, maybe a foul system, or possibly even a real-life crowd. That's a decent amount of money for them to implement some really cool features, so I can't wait to see what this game turns into. Speaking of turning something into something else, we're getting a VR mod for the original Half-Life. Now I know what you're thinking, Dr. Beef already did this a long time ago, but that is a Quest port, and this one will be available on Steam. So just like the recently released Half-Life 2 VR mod, all you have to do is install this Steam app alongside your Half-Life game, and it becomes a fully VR title. Now this will be a beta release, and there are some known bugs, but it is playable from beginning to end, and they've even added some extra features. Everything we've come to expect from a VR game, like seated or standing play, relocomotion or teleportation, 6 DOF weapons, and the ability to physically grab levers and even head crabs is included in this game, but they also created some new 3D models for the weapons and hands, and added some female scientists into the Black Mesa research facility, so it's no longer just 3 different dudes. I personally loved my experience with the Half-Life VR Quest mod, so if this is anywhere close to as good, it's definitely worth checking out. Now the next title has been pushed back so many times, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens yet again, but the beta release for the 4-person co-op survival title Requiem VR should be coming this month. I've played bits of this game and it was a lot of fun, but I understood why it got pushed back. Now you could jump into this game with up to 3 of your friends in 2 separate gameplay modes that either put you against a horde of zombies or one another. You can basically fashion anything you find into a makeshift weapon or even some type of zany trap. It's a cool, almost Home Alone style twist to the classic survival title. You'll have some preparation time where you get to look for supplies, build some traps, or create an arsenal of weapons. Now when you're tired of killing zombies, you can fight each other, and there are once again no rules. I've seen ladders and tube TVs become fatal weapons in this game, and it does get absolutely crazy. I have to jump back in to see what state the game is in now, but when I played it, it was definitely a unique and fun experience. Now, a spy-based title that snuck its way onto today's list is I Expect You to Die: Home Sweet Home. Now, you're probably thinking, wait a second, there's a new I Expect You to Die? I haven't heard anything about this title. And I'm pretty sure I know why, because it looks like a Quest Pro AR experience. It was actually showcased in some footage from Meta, where they showcased Project Cambria. So it looks like we'll be engaging in some of that amazing, quirky escape room style action, but this time overlaid into our existing homes. Now, I don't believe it will be limited to the Quest Pro, as it was showcased in the Quest 2 grayscale pass-through, but I assume the full RGB pass-through on the Quest Pro would make it a better experience. Now, next up we have Iron Guard VR, another title I'd be surprised if you've heard of, but I absolutely love this game. It released on PCVR about a year ago, and it's a highly strategic and extremely lengthy tower defense game. The environments are beautiful, it's got a cool voice-acted storyline, and the gameplay is just weirdly addictive. It takes its time before it becomes challenging, but the main game is roughly 10 hours long. There's plenty of different weapons to unlock and upgrade, and you'll also utilize a ship in one hand for some arcade-style shooter action. The title truly caught me by surprise and delivered much more than I expected. So if you're into tower defense games, this one's a no-brainer. Now finally, we have the Morels Homestead, which actually first released on Quest and has now made its way onto PCVR. It's a relaxed sandbox adventure title where you get to build your own country home. You'll explore levels from many different environments and find hundreds of unique items that you could keep for yourself or trade to grow your homestead. You'll grow and harvest crops, hunt for rare items, and even use a metal detector along the beach to find buried treasure. So if you're looking for a sandbox game that isn't all about stabbing people or slow motion Max Payne style shooter action, you can relax in Morels Homestead. Okay everybody, unless some other games sneak their way in for October, this is everything planning to release in the next 3 weeks. Now, do any of these games sound exciting to you guys? I would love to know down in the comments. If you've played some already, what was your experience? And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. And as always, I will see you guys on next time.